Watch this. This guy Nate Diaz. I've been watching him for a lot of years, since the very beginning of the UFC. He's from like Stockton, Sacramento, California, a real rough part of town. And him and his brother Nate, they've been in the UFC since forever. Now I've never been able to figure out, what's Nate's deal? Like, why does he stick to it so long? And he'll go for the championship, but he doesn't really care. He's just always mad at everybody. When I really sat down and listened to him, I'm like, what is he always so pissed off about? It's like, well, he's pissed off about, IP stuff. He's pissed off about, being raised in a hard upbringing. So he's pissed off about a lot of other stuff. But what he doesn't like is he doesn't like the ones and the twos where they will use the UFC as kind of just a stepping stone, like I was saying earlier. They'll use the UFC as just, I'm on my way to a scam. So here's a good example here. Nate fought Jake Paul here a while ago. And Nate is, Jake Paul's fighting a bunch of guys that are kind of retired-ish, you know what I mean? So it's like if you have these guys fighting in their prime. But you notice you got Jake Paul, is Jake Paul really doing boxing? And by the way, Nate came down to do boxing. If Nate fought Jake all out, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, it would be no comparison. But so he put his hands behind his back to put on the gloves, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So anyways, Jake is a good example of a number one who's using boxing, martial arts, UFC, whatever, as a stepping stone to be the greatest, right? You see the difference there? You really download that story? Like, really kind of feel that. Like, you can feel that where in your life you're like, you know what? I just want to be the best at this. I'm just using this opportunity. Now, you might be using an opportunity that somebody else is like, no, my life is this opportunity. My life is I am a fighter. And that's what you'll see. That's what you see with Nate. It's like, I am a fighter. I'm not just doing this, for a fucking career move, right? And so what's funny about Nate is he's always flipping people off. I love that. He's always, like, in the middle of fights, like, when he gets the microphone in front of him, he's just always, telling everybody, fuck you. And so he's a real funny, honest, just non-compromised. Now, I know he's an IP, blah, blah, blah. I know he's from fucking Stockton, but it's kind of hilarious to see somebody who just never fucking moves when the tribe says, hey, could you move a little bit, So let me set you up for this first clip. So Nate's in trouble for doing something, being Nate Diaz, pissing somebody off. So he got fined. He got fined $20,000, and he wouldn't back down. So, like, if you don't back down, you're going to get fined. He's like, oh, well, fuck you. So he's not going to move, right? And then Dana White, another single decider, is like, hey, I need you to do this countdown thing, this thing for TV or whatever. And Nate here is like blast last, super mumbly, avoiding everybody's calls, not wanting to do it. He just wants to specialize. He's like, hey, I don't want to do the scams. I don't want to do the business stuff. I don't want to promote Reebok. I don't want to do a thing. I don't want to do a countdown for TV. I want to go back to work. Stop bothering me. So Dana, who takes care of a lot of the fighters, calls him and says, hey, Nate, could you do this personal as a favor for me? Can I leverage the friends coins here? And Nate's like, all right, I'll do it for the friendship. I'll do it because of that. So Nate does the thing. He does the thing to sponsor Reebok or whatever, and then gets pissed off again, and then flips off Reebok, and then gets his 20 grand taken away again.
And they were like, well, you have to do a public apology. And I was like, no, I meant it. Fuck that. I'm not apologizing to nobody. And they're like, all right, well, then it's a $20,000 fine. I'm like, damn. And they wanted to meet up with me, and I was like training and doing shit and not answering their calls. And I was like, I'll catch up with them when I get time. I was not gonna fucking do the countdown show. I was in beef with him for I don't want to do no countdown. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. And so Dana White calls me and he's like, I was like, shit, not Dance Concept. What's up? And he's like, hey, I'm gonna need you to do that countdown. Can you please do it for me? I like, yeah, I'm gonna catch up with him. He's like, look, if you do the countdown show, you'll get your $20,000 back that they just took from me. Yeah. And I was like, well, shit, I need $20,000. Yeah, I'm gonna call him right now.
Yeah.
So I hit him up, and I was like, I linked up with him and I did all the stuff. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, good job, you got your 20 back. Thanks, man, I appreciate it, because then it's cool. He's like, yeah, cool. Then I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. I was pumped because I got my 20K back. Like a couple days later, I think the Reebok thing happened. It was something like that all at the same time. And he goes, they're like, Reebok and all the fighters are going, oh, we're just like other athletes now. This is so great. They were all just kissing ass. I was like, fuck Reebok. So I tweeted the middle finger with it. Because I was like annoyed with everybody kissing ass, right? Then I said, congratulations, kid. You just lost your 20K.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck?
That's
I can't win here. So I was refined.
So this is the story. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about with the threes that won't do the responsibility this way, right? Now you can get them if you can get to their friendship card. You know what I mean? Their friends third. That's what Dana did. Is like, hey, look, I know all you want to do is get back to the gym. You just want to get back to Specialize. And Nate, he's like, I don't want to play the scam. I don't want to play the business. I don't want to be a number two. I don't want to be a number one. I don't want to promote Reebok. And Dana's like, look, let me leverage a friend coin. Could you go over here? Could you go side to side for me? He's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But you see the frustration, like from the threes point of view. Nate is like, I don't want to do all the extra random silly stuff. I need to get back to work on my fucking job, right? I just want to get back to work.
I feel like I'm in this fight thing for life. I've been fighting since I was a kid. I've been watching anything that put me up when I was a kid with a martial arts movie, whether it's Ninja Turtles or Bloodsport, Rocky, Vision Quest, all these kinds of movies. And I like everything about fighting. But when people are in there fighting and doing good, but they're not real fighters, and they look at it like a sporting event, athletic type of thing, retirement at 20, 22 fights, 20. How many fights does
Business.
Kebab have? Yeah, and then he's retired and he's gone. He's got a real good way to get out too. It's like I'm done. I've done it all. You fought 3 ranked opponents, and then fucking beat 2 fucking guys as a champion, and then those guys got beat the same way in their next fights. And he's retired. Anyways, I go off on him all day.
There you can see it that he's saying, I don't like people that just come in, they win the title ship, they get all the money and they fucking leave. I've been a fighter for life, and there's a pride to the specialization. So when you're typing somebody, you try to figure out their social types, you can really look for like, hey, do you take your job and your career super, 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 super seriously more than everybody else? That's going to be the specialization coin versus the 1s and the 2s. They're like, I'm doing this because I'm leapfrogging to here, leapfrogging to here, leapfrogging to there, right? One last quick thing. One thing about the fighters, even he's one of the best fighters, but he's feminine sensory, right? So one thing I've noticed about the feminine sensories, and Nate here be one of the best examples of this, is they're kind of a counter puncher. If you look at Anderson Silva, he's the guy I used to watch back in the day. He's double feminine, SE, FE, and is super counter puncher. Does Nate have a lot of power here? No, fucking Jake has a lot of power, the masculine SE. So Jake is going to be like the bull, where Jake is going to be running in and charging and swinging with these knockout power punches. And then the feminine sensory is more of getting out of the way. And then in Nate's case, what he often does is just fucking stands there and absorbs the fucking punches. And he doesn't have a lot of fucking punching power to him. So you'll see that kind of clustering with the fighters. Because sometimes people will be like, well, I'm feminine sensory and I like to hit stuff. It's like, yeah, sure. Anyways, that's what I'm seeing at this time. Trying to sort out, figuring out people's social types, getting those pre-stories loaded.